Hey, it's just me showing up at the start of the video in person because you have to do that now, or at least I have to because of how the new wacky YouTube algorithm works. So, anyways, time for the electricity demand levels, PayPal, Patreon, other links and stuff are all down below if you want to support me. Only do so if you actually can. So, anyways, here we go down the monthly updated electricity demand levels list for countries that updated their monthly data, that is. Not all of the usual ones did this time. Anyways, starting with the largest electricity consumer, China, now averaging over a terawatt of demand load across their grid at any given moment. They're usually highest in summer, and they were beginning to make their way up as we headed through spring. They were already up over 1.1. Last time they were at around, I believe, 1.12. So they would have likely climbed a bit, maybe up to 1.14, 1.15. However, because they're trying to reduce electricity demand to reduce the amount of gas they use for gas-fired power plants, because of the supply disruptions from the Persian Gulf, they've actually decreased in electricity demand. They managed to bring it down over the last month and a half or so, down by about 5%. So instead of going up as we go through spring, they've actually come down and are down under 1.1 at 1.08 terawatts. The second largest consumer is the US, and the US usually in present day averages a bit above 500 and usually has a higher curve in summer and a smaller high curve in winter with low ends in fall and spring because most regions of the US experience temperature neutrality around that time. And for the last few weeks of April, the US was down at one of the troughs, averaging about 440. India in present day is climbing their way up through the 200s now. At their lower points of the year, they no longer even fall below 200, and their higher points of the year are going to start getting over 300 soon, probably next year or the year after for the first time. For April, however, they were coming in up at 256. Russia is usually mostly in the lower 100s, fluctuating up and down, and at their higher point, which for Russia is in the winter for their electricity demand, they usually get a bit over 150, and they were up there in February, but over March they dropped down and came down to 143 for their demand load. Germany in present day has declined from the 100 they used to average rather quickly down to the lower 80s as they're doing a speed run of the self deindustrialization that the UK did over the last 3 decades or so. Germany has instead done it over the last 1 decade. And this time they came in the lower 80s again at 83. Canada's most recent available data is from back in February, and their higher point is during the winter usually. They came in just under 84 gigawatts averaging, whereas their normal present day average is usually around 70. France in present day is usually around 60, starting to creep down into being more average in the 50s. And most recently, they came in over the last few weeks right at a flat 60 gigawatts on average. South Korea in present day is up in the 60s, mid to upper 60s. They're starting to level off here, and they were actually up in the 70s until the Iran war started happening, and now they're trying to nationally cut back their demand as well. And so they've brought themselves back down by a few gigawatts. And by the end of March, we're at 68. Turkey in present day is up to the lower 40s on average and still growing in demand. Most recently, they came in at 40.3 gigawatts for their average. Vietnam in present day is getting close to 40. The UK in present day is down to averaging close to 30, where they once averaged a demand load up in the mid 40s before they went through the whole deindustrialization thing. And this time, over the last few weeks, they came in a bit under 30, around 28.4. Taiwan in present day is usually in the lower 30s, but they've been shutting down, trying to minimize their demand as much as possible to reduce their degree of natural gas imports, obviously, because of the current situation. So they're down under 30, just under 29 at 28.9, at least as of the end of March. Italy in present day is usually right around 30, and they came in a bit under it at the same as Taiwan, actually, 28.9. Spain is also right around 30, just like Italy. They, however, most recently came in elevated up at 33 gigawatts of demand load. Thailand in present day is up to the upper 20s on average, and most recently, from before the Iran war, they came in at 26.7. Malaysia in present day is up into the low 20s, and their data from before the war started was 21.6 gigawatts most recently. Sweden did not update their data this time. Norway, however, did, and they came in at 20.1, and they usually average around 20 in present day. Poland is up to averaging close to 20 usually, and they came in at 20.2. Argentina usually averages in the upper teens now, and they came in most recently at 16.8. Kazakhstan over in Central Asia is up to averaging about 15 and still growing. They came in just under 15 at 14.9. Across the channel from the UK, Nederland is a bit delayed, more delayed than the others with their data. Their data is from, I believe, January, and their demand is highest during the winter. They came in decently above where they usually are, all the way up at 18.6, actually. They're normally more around 14. Czech Republic is usually around 8, and they came in most recently elevated up at 10.1. Colombia in present day is up to now averaging over 10, and they most recently came in at 10.02. Chile in present day also is up to averaging about 10, and they came in also at 10.02 gigawatts. Peru is just about up to averaging 8, and they came in just under it at 7.9. And the only other one we got for the list this time, of those that normally release data, that is Kenya, who continues climbing on upwards. They're on their way up to 2 gigawatts for total national demand average. And last time they were at 1.83. This time they continued growing again up to 1.85. But that's it. So thank you everybody for sticking around and listening. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want. There's hundreds of other videos on the channel across all kinds of similar and different subjects. PayPal, Patreon, and YouTube super thanks, whatever buttons, they're all down below if you want to support me. Only do so if you actually can. You can get all the graphs for free if you want through the Drive folder linked in the description. There's a link in the top and comment to my cat's YouTube channel. May God bless and protect all of you, and I will see you all around next time.